Hello everyone. Tonight we begin with a question about how Viking explorers crossed vast, icy seas guided only by starlight and courage. Could you brave such a journey? You're standing on the deck of a dragon-headed longship. Its oak timbers creaking under your feet, the North Sea stretching dark and endless around you. Stars glitter above, sharp as frost, winking like they hold secrets of distant shores. The air bites with cold, salt stinging your lips, and the wool cloak around your shoulders flaps in the wind. Let's be honest, you might not stay awake for this starry voyage, but these Vikings sailed through storms that would make your knees wobble. So, before you snuggle into your blanket, hit like on the video and comment where you're watching from and what time it is there. It's so fun to know who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're swaying with the longship, its carved prow slicing through waves that glint like polished iron under the moon. Viking navigators around 800 CE didn't rely on charts or compasses. They read the heavens, their minds a living map of stars and seas. Mainstream history tells us they sailed from Scandinavia, reaching Iceland, Greenland, and even North America by 1000 CE, a feat that makes your weekend hike seem like a stroll. You tilt your head back, the Milky Way a silver river above. Vikings used stars like Polaris, the North Star, as anchors, its steady glow pointing to northern lands. Miss its rise, and you're adrift in a sea that forgives no mistakes. Imagine losing your way out here. Chilling, right? Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings claimed they could hear the sea's mood, sensing shifts in wave rhythms like a bard hears a saga's beat. Picture Astrid, a young apprentice with a shell pendant she fidgets with, her ear pressed to the hull, listening for the ocean's whisper. Historians still argue whether this was skill or superstition. Could you really hear your way to Iceland? Yet, they found lands no one else dared dream of. So maybe Astrid's ears knew something we don't. You're gripping the ship's rail now, the wind tugging at your cloak. Navigators memorize star paths, like verses of a song, each constellation a guidepost. The Great Bear, looming large, told them when to turn west. You try picturing it, but the sky's dizzying, a tapestry of light. Astrid's nearby, her breath fogging in the cold, whispering a prayer to Odin for clear skies. She's nervous, her fingers twisting that pendant, but her eyes are fixed on the stars, learning their dance. You chuckle, imagining a skald teasing her, lose a star, and you'll be rowing to Valhalla. It's no jest, though. Her training's life or death, years of memorizing skies and seas. The long ship surges forward, its woolen sail taut. Vikings didn't just follow stars, they trusted them, a bond forged in nights like this. You notice Ingrid, a shield-maiden navigator, her braided cord necklace glinting as she adjusts the tiller. Her calm hum, a soft tune of home, steadies the crew. Feel the ship's heart, she murmurs to Astrid, her voice like the sea's own rhythm. You try it, close your eyes, let the ship's sway guide you. Can you sense the waves' pulse? Picture it, the ocean's alive, speaking to those who listen. Tua, the elder skald, leans on his carved staff, watching Astrid with a weathered smile. The stars sing, he says, if your soul's quiet enough. You're starting to feel the Vikings' world, not just a ship, but a story, woven from starlight and salt. They sailed for trade, for glory, for new homes, their long ships carrying dreams across seas. You think of your own journeys, maybe not so grand, but just as heartfelt. The crew's quiet now, pointing at a low star, maybe Vega, guiding you west. You settle back, the ship rocking like a cradle. Imagine holding Astrid's pendant. How cool is it against your palm? The stars are your map, the sea your road, and you're sailing with Vikings, chasing lands only the boldest find. You're still swaying on that dragon-headed long ship, The North Sea's icy waves slapping the oak hulls, each creak of the timbers like a heartbeat under your feet. The stars above burn cold, their light slicing through the frost-laden air, and you pull your wool cloak tighter, the rough weave scratching your chin. The sail, heavy with damp, flaps in a wind that smells of salt and distant snow. You're not just drifting, you're tracing the same unseen paths Viking navigators followed, their minds holding maps carved from the ocean's whispers. It's humbling, isn't it? These sailors found specks of land in a frozen wilderness, guided by waves and will. Mainstream history confirms Vikings colonized far-flung shores like Iceland by 870 CE, navigating from Norway using knowledge honed over generations. You're picturing Ingrid now, the shield maiden from before, her braided cord necklace swaying as she kneels, eyes half closed, feeling the seas swell. Their maps weren't parchment but memory, a tapestry of wave patterns and wind songs. You try it. Focus on the ship's roll. Every wave has a shape, a rhythm, like a skald's verse. Long, smooth swells from the west might mean open sea. Short, jagged ones could hint at land, their echoes bouncing off unseen cliffs. It's as if the ocean's chanting directions, but only to those who know its tongue. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings swore they could sense land through their bones, lying flat on the deck to feel the sea's tremors. Astrid's trying it now, sprawled beside you, her shell pendant pressed to her chest, face scrunched in focus. It's like the sea's pulse, she whispers, half to herself. Historians still argue whether this was instinct or myth. Could you really navigate with your marrow? Yet they hit Greenland's shores. So maybe Astrid's bones are wiser than our doubts. You're rocking with the ship, trying to feel those waves yourself. Ingrid's nearby, her hum softer now, a melody of fjord winds. The sea speaks, she says, glancing at you. What's it telling you? You close your eyes, the decks sway a gentle nudge. It's dizzying, but there's a pattern, steady rolls, then a quick jolt. Vikings named their winds, too, like old kin. The east wind, sharp and steady, was their road to England. A sudden gust from the north might mean an island's cliffs are bending the breeze. You sniff the air, hoping for a whiff of pine, but it's just salt and cold. Imagine catching that scent. What would it stir in you? The crew's murmurs blend with the waves, Astrid fidgeting with her pendant again, her nervous habit a quiet rhythm. Tua, the skald, taps his carved staff, its star etchings glinting. Waves are stories, he says, voice low, and every story leads somewhere. You chuckle, thinking a skald's tale might outlast a storm, but lose the sea's thread and you're adrift. Vikings watched for sea marks, clues like kelp strands or a lone gull's flight. Spot a feather on the water? Lands upwind, maybe a day away. You're starting to see the sea as they did. Not a void, but a living map, every ripple a hint. A gust snaps the sail, and Ingrid adjusts the tiller, her necklace catching starlight. You notice Astrid mimicking her, a shy, try at steering. Steady girl, Ingrid says, a rare smile breaking her focus. It's a small moment, but it binds them. Teacher and student, sea and stars. You try reading the waves again, but it's like deciphering a saga in the dark. Picture gripping the tiller. How does his worn wood feel? The ship surges, and you feel the crew's trust, not just in Ingrid, but in the sea itself. Tua starts a low chant, its cadence matching the waves, a route to Orkney woven in its words. You hum along, your voice lost in the wind, but it feels right, like you're part of the sea song. You're still aboard that dragon-headed long ship, the North Sea's waves crashing against its sturdy oak hulls, each thud a reminder of the ocean's untamed might. The air sharp with frost, your breath fogging as you grip the ship's rail, its wood smoothed by countless hands. Above, stars pierce the velvet sky, but it's the long ship itself that holds your gaze now. Its sleek form, carved prow snarling like a beast, slicing through waves that could crush lesser vessels. The woolen sail, taut and salt-stained, hums in the wind, pulling you toward lands unknown. You're about to marvel at the craftsmanship that made these ships the Vikings' lifeline, built to defy storms and carry dreams across the seas. Can you feel the ship's strength under you? Mainstream history records that Viking longships, known as drakers for their dragon-head prows, were engineering triumphs, enabling raids and settlements across Europe by 800 CE. You're standing on one now, its clinker-built planks, overlapped and riveted, flexing with the waves like a living thing. Some stretched 80 feet, carrying 40 warriors, furs, and hopes for new shores. You trace the prow's carved scales, imagining the shipwrights who felled pines in Norwegian fjords. Ingrid's at the tiller, her braided cord necklace swaying, her eyes scanning the horizon. "This ship's our shield," she says, voice steady. You chuckle, thinking a skald might call it a sea dragon, but out here, it's home. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some longships had spirit carvings, runes etched inside the hull to ward off sea spirits. Astrid's pointing at one now, a faint spiral near her feet, her shell pendant glinting as she whispers. It keeps Njord's wrath at bay. Historians still argue whether these were sacred or superstitious. Did runes really calm the seas? But you're not questioning sailors who crossed the Atlantic in open boats. So maybe Astrid's spiral has some magic. You're swaying with the ship, noticing its low draft, perfect for skimming rivers or beaching on rocky shores. Building one took a village. Men hewed timber, women wove sails, children hauled tar-soaked ropes. You picture it, a fjord buzzing with chants, axes ringing, everyone knowing this ship might carry their kin to glory or Valhalla. Tua, the skald, leans on his star-etched staff, telling Astrid, a ship's soul is its maker's heart. You try lifting a paddle, heavy as a war axe, and imagine weeks at sea, shoulders aching. A crewman, Bjorn, with a scarred cheek, laughs. Paddle like that, and we'll reach England next spring. His jest stings, but you grin, picturing your own clumsy tries at a craft. The waves grow fiercer, testing the ship's mettle. You grip the rail, feeling the planks bend, but hold, their iron rivets glinting. The longship's design, light yet tough, lets it dance with the sea, not fight it. Ingrid's unfazed, her hum rising over the wind, guiding the crew to tighten ropes. You notice a wicker basket of dried fish lashed nearby, a reminder of the ship's role as a floating village. Astrid's helping Bjorn secure it, her nervous fidgeting gone, replaced by focus. You're impressed, but also a bit queasy. Nobody's bailing water yet, right? Picture the sail's rough weave in your hands. How does it feel? The ship surges, its prow cutting waves like a blade, and you feel its power, a testament to hands that built it. You're starting to love this long ship, its runes and all. It's not swift, maybe 6 knots, but it's relentless, like a wolf on the hunt. You think back to Ingrid's wave reading from earlier, how she paired it with this vessel's strength. Stars above, ship below, and you in the middle, trusting both. Tua's chanting now, a saga of a ship that outran a storm, his voice weaving the crew's courage. Sing with me, he urges, and you try, your voice a shy murmur. The stars seem prouder now, the ship steadier, carrying you closer to land, one wave at a time. You're still clinging to the dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves rocking you as the stars above blaze like frost-forged beacons. The air's crisp biting your cheeks, and the woolen sail snaps in a wind that carries whispers of distant fjords. You're gazing upward, the sky a vast tapestry of light, each constellation a thread in the Vikings' celestial map. These navigators didn't just sail, they read the heavens like a skald reads a saga, every star a guide to lands hidden beyond the horizon. You're about to unravel their skybound secrets, decoding the celestial compass that never falters, unless clouds steal the stars. Can you keep up with their cosmic dance? Mainstream history tells us Vikings used a star-based navigation system, relying on key stars like Polaris to sail from Norway to Greenland by 900 CE, covering thousands of miles. You're squinting at the sky now, spotting Polaris, the North Star, a steady pinprick above the mast. Navigators knew it marked true north, a fixed point when waves tossed the ship like a child's toy. You try picturing the horizon as a rune-carved circle, stars rising and setting like markers on a stone. Vega climbs in the east, Sirius dips west. It's a living clock, but miss a star's arc, and you're lost in a sea colder than a giant's heart. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings believed certain stars were Thor's sparks, struck from his hammer to light their way. Astrid's pointing at one now, maybe Arcturus, her shell pendant swinging as she murmurs, "Thor's watching us." Historians still argue whether this was spiritual or a mnemonic trick. Did divine sparks really guide ships? Yet they reached Iceland's shores. So maybe Astrid's faith in Thor's light wasn't just poetry. You're leaning against the rail, the ship's sway a gentle lullaby. Ingrid's at the tiller, her braided cord necklace catching starlight, her hum blending with the waves. Follow Polaris, but trust the others, she tells Astrid, her voice calm but firm. The Vikings tracked dozens of stars, memorizing their paths like verses. The Great Bear's tail pointed to distant isles. The Pleiades cluster signaled spring voyages. You try counting stars, but it's like tallying grains of sand. Tua, the skald, taps his carved staff, its star etchings glowing faintly. "The sky's a saga," he says, "and we're its tellers." You chuckle, imagining a skald boasting he'd navigate by moonlight alone, until the clouds rolled in. The crew's quiet, eyes on the horizon where stars meet sea. Navigators timed the night, knowing when each star rose or set. You picture Astrid, her pendant clutched tight, reciting star names under her breath. Vega, Arcturus, Sirius, she's nervous, but Ingrid nods, a rare warmth in her gaze. "Good," she says. "The sky never lies." You try it, pick a star, maybe Altair, and guess its path. It's daunting, like deciphering a rune with half the strokes missing. Picture tracing a star's arc with your finger. How does it feel to hold the sky? The ship glides, its hulls humming, and you feel the weight of their trust in these celestial guides. You're starting to see the sky as they did, not just light, but a story alive with meaning. The Vikings tied their voyages to stellar rhythms. Orion's rise warned of winter storms. The Pleiades' appearance opened sailing seasons. You grin, thinking a skald might call the stars old friends, always there when the sea turned cruel. Tua's chanting now, a low song of a hero guided by Thor's sparks to a new land. Sing it, he urges you, and you hum, your voice a shy echo. The stars feel closer, like kin, their light a promise you're not lost, not yet, as long as they shine, leading you through the Norse night. You're still swaying on that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves lapping at the hulls, their rhythm a steady pulse beneath your boots. The night air sharp, frosting your breath, and the stars overhead glitter like shards of ice, casting faint shadows on the deck. You hear soft voices nearby, Ingrid's calm instructions, Tua's low hum, and turn to see Astrid, the young apprentice, kneeling beside the skald, her shell pendant glinting as she traces a star's path with a trembling finger. This is no ordinary night. You're witnessing a Viking navigation lesson where a girl barely grown learns to steer by the heaven's light. You're about to dive into the training that turned youths into sea wolves, their minds sharpened to conquer the Norse seas. Can you feel the weight of Astrid's task? Mainstream history notes that Viking navigation was an oral tradition, taught through apprenticeships starting as young as 12, with masters passing skills across generations by 850 CE. You're watching Astrid now, her brow furrowed, repeating a chant Tua taught her, each verse naming a star, Polaris, Vega, Altair, that leads to Iceland's shores. The skald's carved staff rests against the rail, its star etchings worn smooth, and he nods, voice gravelly but kind. The sea tests you, but the stars never waver, he says. You wince, remembering your own struggles with simpler tasks, tying a knot, say, not finding a fjord 1,000 miles away. This is survival woven into song. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some apprentices learned wave patterns by wading in icy fjords blindfolded, to sense the sea's currents with their skin. Astrid's muttering about it now, shivering as she recalls her first try, her pendant clutched tight. The cold bites, but the waves sing, she says, half laughing. Historians still argue whether this was practical or a rite of courage. Could you really learn navigation soaked in shaking? But it built instinct, and those instincts found Greenland. So maybe Astrid's frozen toes were onto something. You're leaning closer, the ship's creak blending with Tua's chant. He's teaching Astrid to read the sky like a saga, each star a hero's deed. She stumbles on Arcturus' path, and Ingrid, at the tiller, glances over, her braided cord necklace swaying. Again, she says, not unkindly. Astrid tries, her voice steadier, listing stars that mark a route to the Shetlands. You're impressed, but also a bit awed. Your own memory falters at names, let alone cosmic maps. Tua points at a gull overhead, its cry sharp. See its flight? Lands that way. You squint, wondering if you'd mistake it for a storm stray. Picture holding Tua's staff. How does its carved weight feel? The longship rocks and Astrid's hands shake, but she points at Polaris, correct this time. Tua's weathered smile cracks wider. Good girl. The sea's your teacher now. Training wasn't just stars, it was waves, winds, even the scent of pine on a breeze. On shore, apprentices used runestones to mimic constellations, a sandy classroom under open skies. You picture it. Kids huddled, Tua's staff tapping rhythms, Astrid's pendant swinging as she learns. You chuckle, imagining a skald's jest, forget a star, and you'll sup with the kraken. But out here, it's no joke. Her lessons are the crew's lifeline. The crew's quiet, watching Astrid with a mix of pride and expectation. Ingrid hums, her tune a fjord lullaby, and you catch Astrid mimicking it, a shy echo. It's a fleeting bond, but it grounds her. You think back to the longship's strength, its oak heart carrying you all. Tua tells a tale of a lost navigator saved by a single star, his voice weaving courage into Astrid's nerves. The sky's yours, he says, and she nods, eyes bright. You settle back, the stars sharper now, their light a promise. You're not just sailing, you're learning, with Astrid, to trust the sea's endless song. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves rocking you gently, their rhythm a quiet hum beneath the creaking oak hulls. The air's cold, heavy with salt and the faint tang of pine, and the stars above twinkle like embers scattered across a velvet cloak. You hear Tua's voice, low and resonant, weaving a tale of Odin's wisdom as the crew listens, their faces lit by starlight. These aren't just stories. They're the fire that fuels Viking voyages, sagas of gods and heroes that inspire sailors to chase horizons no one else dares. You're about to sink into the Norse myths that shaped these sea wolves, their courage drawn from tales older than the ship beneath you. Can you feel the pull of their legends? Mainstream history confirms that Norse oral sagas, passed down by skalds by 800 CE, were vital to Viking culture, embedding navigation cues and moral strength in tales of Thor, Odin, and Freya. You're leaning against the rail now, Tua's carved staff glinting as he recounts how Thor battled the Midgard serpent, his hammer sparking stars to guide lost ships. The crew's wrapped, Astrid clutching her shell pendant, eyes wide. You picture Thor's thunder rolling over the sea, a reminder to sail boldly. Tua's voice dips, weaving a route to the Orkneys into the saga's verses. You're caught up, the story a map as real as the stars you followed earlier. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings believed the Northern Lights were Valkyrie's shields, guiding souls to Valhalla and ships to safe harbors. Astrid's gazing at the sky now, hoping for their glow, whispering, "They'll light our way." Historians still argue whether this was spiritual or a navigational aid. Could auroras really point to land? But Vikings sailed under their shimmer, so maybe Astrid's hope isn't just a child's fancy. You're swaying with the ship, the sail's soft flap blending with Tua's tale. He shifts to a saga of Leif Erikson, who sailed west chasing a star, finding a land of vines. The crew murmurs, Ingrid's hum joining Tua's rhythm, her braided cord necklace swaying. "Stories keep us steady," she tells Astrid, who nods, her pendant clutched tighter. You try recalling a tale from your own life, maybe a family story, but it feels small next to Thor's hammer. You chuckle, imagining a skald spinning your tale, the hero who braved a crowded market. Yet these sagas were more. They were compasses, each verse a step toward Iceland or beyond. The crew's voices rise, chanting a saga's refrain, and you join in, your hum shaky but earnest. Tua's staff taps the deck, marking a route to Greenland hidden in the words. Astrid's trying too, her voice a soft echo, but a wave jolts the ship, and she stumbles. Ingrid steadies her, a firm hand on her shoulder. "Sing louder than the sea," she says, and Astrid tries again, stronger. You're struck by the moment, myth and sea entwined, binding the crew like kin. Picture clutching a runestone like Astrid's pendant. How does its cool weight feel? The stars seem brighter, as if Odin's watching, urging you onward. Suddenly, the wind shifts, sharp and fierce, and the sail strains. Ingrid's at the tiller, her hum cutting through the gusts, but the sea's turning restless. Tua's saga pauses, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Thor's testing us," he mutters, half joking, and the crew laughs, but their grips tighten. The ship bucks, waves crashing over the prow, and you cling to the rail, heart racing. This is no mere story. The sea's alive, demanding respect. Ingrid shouts, "Hold fast," and Astrid, pale but determined, helps lash the sail. You're caught in the saga's pulse, myths fueling courage, as the ship fights the waves, carrying you closer to lands only legends promise. You're still swaying on that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves surging beneath you, their restless churn echoing the storm that nearly shook you loose moments ago. The air's damp, laced with salt and the sharp bite of frost, and the stars above flicker through thinning clouds, their light glinting off the ship's rivets. You're clutching a rough-hewn oar, its wood worn smooth, and beside you lies a curious object, a cloudy crystal, catching starlight like a frozen flame. You're about to explore the Vikings' seafaring tools, not just their saga-fueled hearts, but tangible relics like sunstones and rune-carved boards that tamed the wild seas. Can you feel the weight of their ingenuity in your hands? Mainstream history notes that Vikings, navigating by 850 CE, used practical tools like sunstones and driftwood markers, with archaeological finds in Denmark confirming their use across the North Atlantic. You're holding the crystal now, a sunstone, perhaps calcite, its faint glow revealing the sun's path even through clouds. Ingrid's nearby, her braided cord necklace swaying as she shows Astrid how to angle it, her voice steady. "Find the light, find your way." You turn the stone, its facets cool, and imagine sailing to Greenland without it. The oar beside you is etched with runes, marking days at sea. You chuckle, thinking a skald might call it a sea counter, but lose track and you're adrift. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings used wave sticks, notched rods tossed overboard to gauge currents by their drift. Astrid's holding one now, her shell pendant glinting as she leans over the rail, watching it bob. "It's like the sea's telling secrets," she says, eyes wide. Historians still argue whether this was science or superstition. Could a stick really map the ocean? But they found Iceland's fjords, so maybe Astrid's stick knows more than our doubts. You're steadying the oar, its weight grounding you as the ship rocks. Tua, the skald, taps his star-etched staff, pointing to a wicker basket lashed to the deck, filled with dried cod and bone needles. "Tools are our kin," he says, voice low. "They speak when stars hide." You picture a navigator like Ingrid, her hum rising, using a sunstone on a foggy dawn to steer toward Vinland. The runes on your oar, simple scratches, count 10 days at sea. You try carving one, but your knife slips, and Bjorn, the scarred crewman, laughs. "Mark it wrong, and we'll sail to the moon." His jest stings, but you grin, imagining your own tally's gone awry. The sea's calmer now, but clouds veil the stars, and Ingrid's sunstone becomes your guide. She holds it aloft, its glow faint but sure, and the crew watches, breathless. Astrid mimics her, clutching a smaller stone, her pendant swinging. "It's heavy," she whispers, and Ingrid nods, a rare smile breaking. So's the sea's trust. You try it, angle the stone, seek the light. It's like chasing a dream through mist. Picture the sunstone's cool edge in your palm. How does it feel? The ship glides, and you notice other tools. A bone compass, its needle trembling, and a driftwood marker, kelp-wrapped, hinting at land. These aren't just objects, they're the Vikings' dialogue with the sea. You're starting to feel their rhythm, how tools anchored their daring leaps across oceans. They weren't magic, just clever, like the longships oak heart you admired earlier. Tua's chanting now, a saga of a navigator saved by a sunstone's gleam, his voice weaving tools into legend. "Sing it," he urges, and you hum, your voice a shy thread. You think back to Thor's sparks from the sagas, wondering if they blessed these stones. The stars peek through, the ship steady, and you tuck the sunstone beside you, trusting it'll guide you closer to land, one glint at a time. You're still gripping the rail of that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves surging beneath you. Their roar, now, a feral growl, as the sky darkens with churning clouds. The air's thick with salt and the metallic tang of an approaching storm, your wool cloak sodden, clinging to your shoulders as icy gusts whip the sail into a frantic dance. The stars you relied on are gone, swallowed by a tempest that shakes the ship like a wolf shakes its prey. You're about to face a storm that tests even the fiercest Viking navigators, where instinct and courage outweigh any sunstone or saga. Can you hold fast as the sea turns savage? Mainstream history records that Vikings, sailing by 900 CE, braved frequent North Atlantic storms, with sagas and archaeological wrecks on Orkney shores proving their resilience. You're clutching the rail now, the longship bucking, waves crashing over the prow, soaking Astrid, who's tying ropes with trembling hands, her shell pendant swinging wildly. Ingrid's at the tiller, her braided cord necklace glinting as she shouts, "Steady the sail." Her voice cuts through the wind's howl, but the sea's relentless, tossing the ship like a leaf. You're half convinced you're in a skald's tale of doom, heart pounding as water pools at your feet. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings claimed they could taste a storm's path by catching rain on their tongues, sensing its source. Bjorn's trying it now, scarred cheek glistening, spitting seawater and grinning. "West wind's bitter, land's that way," he calls. Historians still argue whether this was skill or bravado. Could you really taste your way to safety? But they survived gales, so maybe Bjorn's tongue knows more than our skepticism. You're soaked, the ship lurching as a wave slams the hull, and you grab a wicker basket to keep it from sliding. Ingrid's hum is gone, replaced by sharp commands, her eyes locked on the horizon. Astrid, pale but determined, helps Tua lash the sail, his star-etched staff wedged against the mast. Thor's angry. Tua shouts, half joking, but the crew's too busy to laugh. You try feeling the waves' rhythm like Ingrid taught you, lying flat against the deck. It's chaos, swells crashing, then a sudden dip, but there's a pattern, faint, like a heartbeat. Picture pressing your cheek to the wood. How does the sea's pulse feel? You're dizzy, but Astrid's focus steadies you, her pendant a small anchor in the storm. The crew's chanting now, a ragged saga fragment to keep spirits high, Thor's hammer invoked against the gale. You join in, your voice lost in the wind, but it's something to cling to. Ingrid adjusts the tiller, using the storm's own force to steer, a trick from her years at sea. The sea fights, but we dance, she mutters, and you marvel at her calm. A crack of thunder splits the sky, and Astrid gasps, but Ingrid's hand on her shoulder holds her firm. Sing louder, she says, and Astrid does, her voice breaking but fierce. You're caught in their resolve, the ship a fragile shield against the sea's wrath. Suddenly, a wave looms, taller than the mast, and the crew braces. You grab the rail, hard in your throat, as the ship climbs its crest, then plunges. Water floods the deck, and you're sure it's over, but the longship holds, its oak heart unyielding, like the one you admired before. Ingrid's tiller work saves you, and the storm's peak passes, rain easing. Tua's chanting grows softer, a prayer to Njord for mercy. You spot a faint star, maybe Sirius, peeking through, and hope flickers. The sea's still angry, but you're alive, carried by a crew whose courage outshines the storm, their saga now yours. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves now gentler after the storm's fury, lapping at the hulls like a weary sigh. The air's crisp, tinged with a faint earthy sweetness that wasn't there before, and the stars peek through scattered clouds, their light soft on the sodden deck. You're shaking off the storm's chill, your wool cloak heavy with seawater, when a gull's sharp cry cuts the silence. The crew stirs, Ingrid pointing at a low cloud tinged with a faint green glow. Land's near, and you're about to learn how Vikings read nature signs, birds, clouds, even the sea's hue, to find shores whispering of home. Can you spot the clues that promise rest? Mainstream history confirms that Vikings, navigating by 900 CE, used environmental cues like bird migrations and cloud formations to locate lands, with sagas describing these skills across the Atlantic. You're watching that gull now, its wings slicing westward, a sign of land within a day's sail. Ingrid, her braided cord necklace glinting, explains to Astrid, gulls don't stray far from cliffs. You grin, imagining telling a skald this trick. He'd weave it into a saga of Odin's ravens. The sea's shifting too, its deep indigo fading to a turquoise shimmer, hinting at shallow reefs. You lean over, half expecting a runestone to mark shore ahead. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Vikings swore they could smell land's breath, pine or wet earth, carried on the wind. Bjorn's sniffing the air now, scarred cheek creased with a grin. Smells like Orkney's heather, he says, winking at you. Historians still argue whether this was reliable or hopeful fancy. Could you really nose your way to a fjord? But they found Iceland's shores. So maybe Bjorn's snout is sharper than our doubts. You're scanning the horizon, the crew's murmurs rising as another gull joins the first, circling above. Tua, leaning on his star-etched staff, nods. Flocking birds mean land's close, he says, voice low. Astrid's clutching her shell pendant, eyes bright with hope. Is it home? She asks, and Ingrid's hum softens, a fjord lullaby. Soon, she says. You try spotting that green-tinted cloud again. Its hue like emerald moss, formed by warm land air rising. It's as if the island's waving, and you feel a thrill. Picture cupping your hands to catch the breeze. Does it carry Earth's warmth? The crew's bustling, Bjorn tossing a bit of cod to a third gull, its cry drawing cheers. Vikings watched bird patterns closely. Lone flyers meant land was farther. Flocks signaled a coast nearby. You're trying to keep up, but it's like reading a saga mid-verse. They also noted wave echoes, like those you felt in a storm, seeking swells bent by hidden shores. You lean against the rail, sensing the ship's sway, but it's more lullaby than clue. Ingrid points at a driftwood plank bobbing nearby, kelp trailing like a banner. Lands upwind, she says, and the crew's hope surges, a shared pulse. A sudden ripple catches your eye, fish darting beneath the surface, their flashes like silver runes. Tua's chanting now, a saga of a navigator led by gulls to a new fjord, his voice weaving the crew's anticipation. Sing it, he urges, and you hum, your voice a shy thread. You think back to the sunstone's glow, its light a partner to these signs. The sea's alive, whispering directions, and you're reading it with Ingrid's crew, Koa's nervous chants, Bjorn's bold laughs. The island scent grows stronger, the horizon sharpening, and you settle back, trusting the gulls and clouds to lead you home, one wing beat at a time. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves nudging you forward, their gentle rhythm a stark contrast to the storm's chaos you survived. The air's alive with the sweet scent of heather and damp earth, and the horizon glows faintly, a promise of land just beyond sight. You're not alone. Ingrid stands at the tiller, her braided cord necklace glinting, her eyes sharp as she scans the sea. She's no ordinary sailor. She's a shield maiden, a navigator defying the norms of a warrior's world, leading this ship with a resolve that humbles you. You're about to sail with her, witnessing the strength of Viking women who carved their own paths across the seas. Can you feel the weight of her command? Mainstream history acknowledges that women navigators, though rare, existed in Norse society, with sagas and graves from 900 CE hinting at shield maidens who led voyages to places like the Faroe Islands. You're watching Ingrid now, her wool cloak snapping in the breeze, her hum a steady fjord melody as she adjusts the sail with a deft hand. She's the crew's anchor, her orders clear. Tighten the ropes, Bjorn. Her voice carries over the waves, and even Tua, the skald, nods in respect. You're awestruck, recalling your own fumbles with simple tasks, tying a knot, not steering a ship to Iceland. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some shield maidens wove charms into their braids, believing they held the wind's favor. Ingrid's fingers brush her braided cord, a faint rune-carved bead woven in, and Astrid watches, wide-eyed, clutching her shell pendant. Does it work? She whispers. Historians still argue whether these charms were ritual or morale. Could a braid really sway the sea? But Ingrid's ship sails true, so maybe her rune bead carries a spark of Freya's luck. You're leaning closer, catching Ingrid's low instructions to the crew. Women like her often learned in shadows, watching fathers or brothers, as tradition favored men. You picture Ingrid as a girl, sneaking to fjord lessons, memorizing star paths while others slept. Her necklace, a gift from her mother, sways as she points at a green-tinted cloud, like the one you spotted earlier. Land's close, she says, and the crew trusts her, no questions. You try mimicking her gaze, squinting at a gull overhead, but it just seems to mock your landlubber eyes. Keep watching, Ingrid tells you, her tone firm but kind. Picture holding her rune bead. How does its carved weight feel? The longship sways and Astrid, inspired, adjusts a rope, her pendant swinging. Ingrid's training mirrors the men's years of star chants, wave reading, even that blindfolded fjord trick you laughed about. But she's added her own touch, a keener ear for wind shifts, a knack for spotting fish schools that signal shallows. Bjorn, scarred cheek creased, jests, Ingrid's nose finds land before my axe finds trouble. The crew laughs, but her steady hand proves him right. You're starting to see her as more than a navigator, a leader forging bonds, like the communal shipbuilding you imagined. Suddenly, a rogue wave rocks the ship and the crew stumbles. Ingrid's at the tiller in an instant, her hum rising to a sharp command. Hold fast. The ship steadies, but your heart races, the sea reminding you of its power. Astrid, pale, clings to a rope, and Ingrid's glance, fierce yet reassuring, keeps her steady. Tua's chanting a saga of a shield maiden who outwitted a storm, his star-etched staff tapping. Sing it, he urges, and you hum, your voice a shy echo. You think back to the sunstone's glow, its light a partner to Ingrid's skill. The island sense strengthens, and you settle back, the ship firm under her command, knowing she'll lead you home, one star at a time. You're still rocking on that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves humming beneath you, their rhythm a steady pulse, as the stars overhead fade into a pre-dawn glow. The air's thick with the scent of heather and salt, and you hear laughter, Bjorn's rough chuckle, Astrid's shy giggle, as the crew unpacks wicker baskets, their voices warm with anticipation. You're nearing a bustling Norse port, not just to rest, but to trade, weaving bonds that tie Viking clans across stormy seas. You're about to dive into the vibrant trade networks that made these voyages more than raids. They were the lifeblood of a scattered people. Can you feel the pulse of their markets hum? Mainstream history shows that by 900 CE, Viking trade networks linked ports from Dublin to Novgorod, with archaeological finds like amber beads and Arab silver tracing routes across Europe. You're watching the crew now, Bjorn hefting a bundle of furs, Ingrid checking a sack of walrus ivory, her braided cord necklace glinting. They're prepping to barter when you hit land, maybe swapping for iron tools or saffron-dyed cloth. You're tempted to offer your sodden cloak, but Astrid's quick grin, her shell pendant swinging, tells you it's a poor trade. These routes weren't chance. Navigators like Ingrid planned them, using the star paths you followed to connect markets over 1,000 miles. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some traders seal deals with a carved bone token, etched with runes to bind their word. Tua's showing Astrid one now, his star-etched staff resting against the rail as he explains, break it, and Odin sees your shame. Historians still argue whether this was trust or ceremony. Did a bone really hold a bargain? But it knit clans together, and you're not doubting folks who sailed to Byzantium for a deal. You're leaning over, eyeing the cargo, furs piled high, a wicker basket of amber nuggets glowing like trapped sunlight. Ingrid's hum softens, her eyes scanning the horizon for the port's faint outline. Trades are thread, she tells Astrid, who's clutching her pendant, memorizing the goods. You picture docking at a wooden quay, locals chanting welcomes, eager for your ivory and tails. It's a floating market, alive with purpose. You chuckle, thinking a skald might sing of your own trades, perhaps a bartered loaf for a friend's favor. But these were survival, spreading tools and tales across seas. Picture holding an amber nugget. How does its warm glow feel? The crew's joking now, Bjorn mimicking a trader who swapped furs for a cracked pot. Fool's bargain, he roars, and Astrid laughs, her nerves easing. But the stakes are high. A wrong trade could starve a winter. Ingrid's steady hand, the one that tamed the storm you survived, guides the ship toward the port. She points at a gull flock, like those you spotted earlier, signaling lands near. Tua's chanting a saga of a trader who linked fjords with silver, his voice weaving the crew's pride. Sing it, he urges, and you hum, your voice a shy thread, feeling the network's pulse. Ports, ships, clans, all tied by trust. Suddenly, a shadow looms on the horizon, not land, but a rival longship, its sails striped with red. The crew tenses, Bjorn's hand on his axe, Ingrid's hum cutting off. "Raiders or traders," she mutters, eyes narrowing. Your heart races. The sea's calm, now a fragile lie. She steers closer, signaling with a raised oar, and the other ship responds. Its crew waving furs, not weapons. Relief washes over you, but the moment lingers, a reminder that trade walks a knife's edge. The port's glow strengthens, the sea's song softer, and you settle back, dreaming of the market's bustle, where your ship's arrival sparks not just trade, but a saga of its own. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves lapping gently at the hulls, their rhythm now a faint echo as the dawn's first light paints the sky in pale golds. The scent of heather and earth grows stronger, the port's promise close, but a heavy quiet settles over the crew, their laughter from the trade talks faded. You're clutching the rail, your wool cloak damp, and you sense a weight in the air, not just the sea's chill, but the shadow of a loss that lingers like a half-told saga. You're about to drift through the decline of Viking navigation, as foreign sails and new ways dimmed the starlit paths you followed. Can you feel the ache of a fading legacy? Mainstream history notes that by the 11th century, Christianization and centralized kingdoms, starting with Norway's conversion around 1000 CE, began eroding Viking navigation traditions. You're picturing a bustling port now, foreign cogs with square sails dwarfing your longship, their crews sneering at heathen ways. Navigators like Ingrid, once revered, were sidelined as compasses and parchment charts replaced stars and sagas. You feel the ship rock, as if it mourns the shift. The trade networks you saw, furs and amber-binding clans, shrank as kings demanded taxes, not tales. You wince, imagining swapping Ingrid's sunstone for a monk's quill. Not a fair trade, is it? Here's the quirky tidbit. Some navigators hid their teachings, whispering star paths in secret groves to evade Christian bans. Tua's voice drops now, telling Astrid of a skald who taught under an oak, his star-etched staff hidden. "The stars don't kneel," he murmurs, and Astrid's shell pendant glints as she nods, eyes fierce. Historians still argue whether these covert lessons preserved enough. Could whispers outlast kingdoms? But they kept a spark alive, and you're rooting for Tua's defiance. You're staring at the horizon, where the port's wooden keys take shape, torches flickering. The old ways weren't just navigation, they were identity, tying Vikings to sea and sky. New faiths brought schools teaching Latin, not wave patterns, and churches swapped Thor's hammer for crosses. You try humming a saga's verse, but it feels fragile, like a thread snapping. Tua's quieter, his staff tapping slower, while Ingrid's hum falters, her braided cord necklace still as she steers. "The sea remembers," she says, almost to herself. You chuckle softly, thinking your own traditions, perhaps a family recipe, fade too, but this loss cuts deeper, severing a bond with the stars. The crew subdued, Bjorn tracing a rune on a wicker basket, maybe a prayer for the old ways. Christian kings banned longships in some fjords, favoring heavy cogs that couldn't dance with the sea. You grimace, picturing your ship beached, its prow rotting. It's like silencing a skald mid-verse. You think back to Ingrid's steady hand, wondering if she faced scorn for her skill. The sea's still here, whispering its rhythms, and you lie back, feeling its pulse like Ingrid did in the storm. Astrid's whispering to Tua, her pendant clutched tight, learning a star's name, Polaris, perhaps, as if to defy the dawn's new order. Suddenly, a foreign sail looms near the port, its cross-emblazoned flag stark against the sky. The crew tenses, Bjorn's hand on his axe, but Ingrid steers calmly, her hum returning, a quiet rebellion. The moment passes, but it stings, a glimpse of a world where stars lose their voice. You're caught in the ache, yet there's hope in Astrid's whisper, Tua's tales, Ingrid's resolve. The port's close, its torches bright, and you settle back, The sea's song a reminder that the Vikings' spark endures, hidden in chants and the waves' endless verse. You're still swaying on that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves rocking you gently as the dawn's golden light spills over the horizon, warming the damp wool of your cloak. The port scent, smoke, heather, and wet timber grows vivid, but the ship feels different now, its oak hulls polished anew, its sails stitched with modern care. You're no longer in the Viking Age. You're sailing with today's Norse descendants, who are reviving the art of star navigation, rebuilding longships, and chasing the sea's ancient paths. You're about to join this renaissance, where old ways breathe again, and the ocean sings of home. Can you feel the spark of their revival? Mainstream history highlights the modern Norse revival, sparked by groups like the Viking Ship Museum in Roskilde, which, since the 1960s, has recreated longships and sailed routes to Dublin using only stars and waves. You're on such a ship now, its timbers echoing the drakkar you rode, but with fresh tar sealing its planks. The crew's a vibrant mix, an elder skald, his staff carved with runes, chant star paths. A young woman, descendant of Ingrid, adjusts the sail, her braided cord necklace gleaming, and a novice, echoing Astrid, fidgets with a bone pendant. You grin, feeling the pulse of a fjord festival. This voyage a bridge between past and present. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some modern navigators use star charts scratched on driftwood, blending old runes with new precision. Astrid's counterpart, let's call her Sigrid, clutches one now, her pendant swinging as she traces Polaris arc. It's like Tua's sagas, but sharper, she says, half laughing. Historians still argue whether this blend honors or dilutes tradition. Can a carved board match a skald's memory? But when ships like Drake and Harold Harfiger cross oceans, you're betting on the stars, not the debate. You're swaying with the ship, watching Sigrid point at the Great Bear, her voice steady despite her fidgeting. She's trained by elders who studied sagas, like Tua's tales of Thor's sparks you heard earlier. You try mimicking her, squinting at the horizon, but a gull's cry distracts you, lands near, just like those you spotted before. The crew's chanting a saga, its verses guiding you to a Shetland port, and you join in, your hum a shy echo. Sing louder, the skald urges, his staff tapping, and you do, feeling the sea's rhythm. Picture holding Sigrid's driftwood chart. How do its rough edges feel? The revival's more than ships, it's a hearth, rekindling Norse soul. Communities carve prows together, weave sails, chant sagas, just like the shipbuilding you imagined. You picture fjords alive with laughter, children learning runes instead of runes fading, as they did when foreign sails loomed. The woman at the sail, call her Freya, hums Ingrid's fjord lullaby, her necklace a twin to that shield maiden's. It's healing, stitching what time frayed. You think of Tua's secret lessons, how they kept the spark alive. Now that spark's ablaze, museums launch ships, festivals sing sagas, and youths like Sigrid sail. You chuckle, imagining a skald's jest, forget a star, and you'll beach in a cow field. But here, it's pride, not peril. Suddenly, a gust snaps the sail, and Freya's quick hands steady it, her hum unbroken. The crew cheers, Sigrid's pendant glinting as she helps, her nerves fading. You're caught in their joy, the sea's pulse sinking with theirs. The port's keys emerge, torches flickering, and you spot land, a green hill under a dawn cloud, like those Ingrid read. This revival proves the knowledge never died, just slept, in sagas and the sea song. You think back to the sunstone's glow, its light now Sigrid's guide. The dawn brightens the port alive, and you settle back, awed by this rebirth, carried by stars and a ship that sails through time. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves carrying you closer to the port, its green hills now vivid under a dawn sky streaked with pink and gold. The air's rich with the scent of wet timber and heather, and the crew's voices hum with excitement, pointing at the quay's flickering torches. You're not just sailing, you're grappling with a mystery that's haunted skalds and scholars alike. When and how did Vikings reach the fabled Vinland, a distant land of vines and promise? You're about to dive into the debates, the clues, and the gaps in their sea-woven saga, where stars and daring wrote history. Can you unravel the enigma of their farthest voyage? Mainstream history suggests Vikings, starting from Norway around 800 CE, reached North America, likely Newfoundland, by 1000 CE, with archaeological evidence like Lance Aux Meadows supporting the saga of the Greenlanders. You're picturing those first sailors now, their longships, perhaps like yours, laden with furs and hope, chasing stars like Polaris across the Atlantic. But when did they truly arrive? Some claim 986 CE, with Bjarni Herjolfsson's accidental sighting. Others push for Leif Erikson's deliberate voyage a decade later. You lean against the rail, the ship's rhythm soothing, and wonder how anyone dared sail into such an abyss. Picture steering by starlight alone. How does that unknown feel? Here's the quirky tidbit. Some sagas hint Vikings followed sea wolves, whales migrating west, as signs of distant shores. Bjorn's pointing at a spout now, scarred cheek creased with a grin, saying they led Leif to vines. Historians still argue whether this was myth or method. Could whales really guide a fleet? But they found Vinland's shores, so maybe Bjorn's sea wolves weren't just skaldic fancy. You're scanning the horizon, the port's keys sharpening, their timbers like runes of home. Scholars debate the how-to, planned exploration or storm-blown luck. Some say navigators like Ingrid, with her sunstone and wave sense, charted Vinland deliberately, while others think gales, like the one you survived, pushed ships off course to new lands. You picture a weary sailor beached on a strange shore, claiming Odin's will. Tua, his star-etched staff steady, tells Astrid, Leif named it Vinland for its grapes. She clutches her shell pendant, whispering, did he plant them? You chuckle, imagining a skald's jest. Grapes or glory, Leif drank deep. But the truth's murkier, a saga half-sung. The crew's quiet, Ingrid tracing a rune on the tiller, her braided cord necklace still. Evidence is sparse, carbon-dated timbers, a bronze pin, tales of scralings in sagas, yet points to a fleeting Norse foothold, maybe 1000 CE. Was it one voyage or many? You try piecing it together, but it's like carving a rune with a dull knife. The stars, now fading, seem to know their silence a challenge. Ingrid's hum returns soft as she steers toward the port. You think back to her cloud reading, her storm-defying hand. Could she have reached Vinland? The sea's pulse syncs with your thoughts, and you wonder, trade, like the networks you saw, or adventure drove them? Suddenly, a dolphin arcs nearby, its leap catching dawn's light, and the crew cheers, Astrid's pendant glinting as she claps. A sign, she cries, and Tua nods, chanting a saga of Vinland's green hills. Sing it, he urges, and you hum, your voice a shy thread. The port's close, its bustle audible, and you settle back, the mystery lingering like mist. Did they seek new homes, like Sigurd's revival sails, or chase glory? The debate states, routes, motives, fade into the waves' hum, but the Vikings daring, their starlit leap burns bright, guiding you to shore. You're still aboard that dragon-headed longship, the North Sea's waves lapping gently at the hulls, their rhythm a soft farewell as you glide toward the port's torchlit quays, now sharp against the dawn's golden glow. The air's thick with the scent of heather, wet timber, and a hint of smoke, wrapping you like a warm cloak, though your own is still damp from a storm. The crew's voices are hushed reverent as they point to the shore, Bjorn's rough laugh softened, Astrid's shell pendant glinting as she leans forward, Ingrid's braided cord necklace swaying with her steady hum. You're not just docking, You're reflecting on the Vikings' legacy, their courage and genius carved in the stars above, the ship beneath, and the sea's endless song. You're about to weave this journey's threads, storms, stars, sagas, and souls, into a tapestry of lessons that linger like a skald's final verse. Can you feel their spirit settling into you? Mainstream history celebrates Vikings as unparalleled explorers, reaching from Norway to North America by 1000 CE. Their longships and starcraft unmatched until the age of sail. You're feeling the ship's oak heart now, its strength a mirror of the drakkar you marveled at, built to dance with waves that could swallow mountains. Their legacy isn't just in lands like Vinland or Iceland, but in the knowledge they wove, stars like Polaris, waves read by Ingrid's keen sense, sagas sung by Tua's weathered voice. You glance up, catching the last glimpse of the Great Bear, its arc a nod to the paths you sailed. The Viking story, from Astrid's trembling star chants to Sigurd's modern revival, is a saga of daring, trust, and a bond with the sea that hums in your bones. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some Norse descendants still carve star runes on ships, believing they carry Odin's luck across modern seas. Freya, the revival navigator, touches one now, her necklace echoing Ingrid's, whispering, "For the old ways." Historians still argue whether this honors tradition or merely echoes it. Does a rune hold the sea's secrets? But as you near the quay, you're betting those carvings, like Astrid's pendant, tie the past to the present, a thread unbroken. You're leaning forward, the port's details unfolding, wooden stalls piled with furs, children waving from the shore, their shouts like gulls. This journey began under a starry sky, with you learning the Vikings' celestial compass, Polaris guiding you as it did Ingrid. You weathered a storm, clinging to the ship as Ingrid's hum defied the gale, and felt the sea's pulse with Astrid, her lessons a spark of hope. Tua's sagas of Thor and Leif fueled your courage, while the sunstone's glow and gulls' cries led you to this shore. You think of the trade networks, Bjorn's bold bartering, and the revival. Sigurd's driftwood chart a new verse in an old song. Each moment, storm, star, or saga, taught you resilience, the kind that saw Vikings cross oceans when others feared to sail. The crew's packing now, securing baskets of cod, their murmurs weaving a final chant. Ingrid's at the tiller, her hum a fjord lullaby, and Astrid, less nervous, helps Bjorn, her pendant steady. Tua's staff taps the deck, his saga of Vinland's vines fading into a prayer for safe harbor. Sing it, he urges, and you hum, your voice stronger now, part of their chorus. You're struck by the Vikings' trust, not just in stars or ships, but in each other, a community bound by sea and story. Picture holding Tua's staff, its star etchings worn. How does its weight feel? The port's alive, merchants calling, and you're ready to step ashore, carrying their legacy. A reminder to face the unknown with a steady heart, to listen to the world's whispers, and to weave your own saga, no matter the storms. These lessons linger, resilience like Ingrid's storm-defying hand, trust like Astrid's faith in the stars, connection like the trade bonds that knit clans. You think of your own life, the challenges you faced, the communities that hold you. The Vikings' courage wasn't just in sailing. It was in daring to dream beyond the horizon, a lesson as timeless as the sea. The ship kisses the quay, its prow nudging the wooden piles, and you feel the shore's embrace, solid yet fleeting, like a saga's end. The waves hush, their song softening, and you breathe deeply, the air a promise of rest. The stars, now faded, leave their light in your heart, guiding you into a quieter tide. As the crew steps ashore, torches casting warm shadows, you linger, the ship's creak a final whisper. The sea stretches behind you, vast and eternal, its waves carrying the Viking spirit, Ingrid's resolve, Astrid's growth, Tua's tales, Sigurd's revival. You're safe now, The ports bustle a gentle hum, like a lullaby sung by the fjords. Let the shore's warmth cradle you, its scent of smoke and heather a soft blanket. The stars glow Thor's sparks, and the sea's endless verse linger in your mind, a dream waiting to unfold. Drift now, the world fading, your breath slowing with the waves' sigh. Rest in this harbor, where courage and stories meet, and let the Vikings' legacy carry you into sleep's embrace, a saga of wonder and light. Thank you, truly, for joining me through every emotion, every turn, every moment of this journey. It's been an adventure, and I'm grateful to share it with you. As we close this tale, I wish you a peaceful evening. May you have a restful night, deep sleep, and dreams filled with wonder and light. Rest well, you've earned it. And when you're ready for the next story, I'll be here, waiting to journey with you again. Before you go, if you love this tale, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what moved you, surprised you, or lingers with you long after the story ends. Until we meet again, good night, and see you in the next adventure.